Hey YouTube, what's going on? Today I want to talk about leaks, and this is a recent hot topic in the Genshin community because MiHoYo is currently trying to actively shut down leaks. In case you didn't know, major leaker like Washing Final Hero or AB64 are no longer going to be doing any leaks anymore since MiHoYo are actively trying to shut down any kind of major leaks. Website like Honey Hunter is also currently trying, or MiHoYo is currently trying to take down website like Honey Hunter because they do contain leaked data, but I feel like for this particular case, it's more because they use data mining data. More on that later. Anyway, in case you guys didn't know, I actually work for a game studio as a software engineer, or you can call me a game developer. Although I do not work directly on gameplay related items, I still have a more or less a good idea of what's going on behind the scene in a game studio. Because of that, I feel like I have more of a perspective when it comes to most other people, and that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how leaks can be beneficial and damaging to a player, both as a perspective from a player of Genshin Impact, as well as a game developer, not directly on Genshin Impact, but just for a game studio in general. Now, a lot of people are probably going to call me out for trying to defend a multi-billion-dollar company because that seems to be a very popular argument. But let me ask you, what do you know about working behind the scene in a multi-billion-dollar company? You have to be aware as that there are a lot of workers, tons of people put in a lot of effort for their work because they are passionate about the work, not because they're trying to scam your money. What you have to know is that in a game studio or any company, there is a lot of department and there's a lot of people who work on many different things. For example, there's a skin team who work on 3D modeling for the appearance. There's engineer who work on gameplay. There is infrastructure engineer who work on the server, who work on the networking, who work to log you in into the game. All of these people are currently just trying their best to do their job. One very popular argument people like to make is that, oh my god, XYZ billion-dollar company is so greedy, they need to stop making skin and instead focus on improving the game. Now, what you guys have to understand is that the people who work on the skin are not the same people who work on the gameplay. People who use skins as an argument is simply just don't understanding the infrastructure of a game studio or just company in general. The people who work on skins don't even have the skill set to work on the gameplay. So for example, people who work on skins would use software like 3D Max, Blender, Cinema 4D to do 3D model rendering, while people who work on the gameplay most likely use programming language such as Java, C++, or C#. These have no relation in between. There's no relation between the department. I cannot stress how important this is, but very often, players seems to forget that there's actual human being who work very hard behind the scene to deliver the product. And I'm very serious about this. Yes, people actually forget there's the human being working behind the scene to deliver these products. Many people decide to work in a game studio, myself included, because they like and really enjoy delivering good product to player so that the player can enjoy them and play through the hard work that they do. If you find yourself not having fun, if you find yourself not having fun playing Genshin Impact, you don't have to force yourself to play. You can just simply leave. I know this is a very toxic thing to do, but it's just the truth. People work very hard behind the scene. Hundreds of people, 200s of people, a lot of people work really hard because they want to deliver happiness to the player. And that is just the truth. With that being said, let's move on to today's topic, leaks. These can be very good for the player, but can also be very bad for the player. It goes both ways. Now, surely leaks is very bad for MiHoYo because it hurt their revenue, but we don't care about that. I only care about the player, and that's what we're going to talk about. And many of you, especially the one who are actively subscribed to my channel, and of course, if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. But many of you might be very surprised of how leaks can possibly be bad for the player, especially since I do again talk about leaks on my channel. Well, let me tell you, people work really hard to plan out a surprise, months or even years ahead behind the scene. And when someone leak it, it simply just ruined the surprise. And it really hurt the player experience for those players who are looking for a surprise, for those players who like the surprise that the company have for them, for example, maybe like anniversary reward. Leaks really damage their experience. There's a reason why player or people really love watching genuine reaction from streamer who know nothing about leaks. For example, like Enviosity, he doesn't really catch up with leaks because he don't care. And when he react to like the newest trailer, when new trailer get announced, people are so hyped over it. People really like looking for a genuine reaction from the streamer because it's really hype. It's a genuine happiness that you get. It's like, oh my god, these things are so crazy. There are crazy things that are gonna be coming, and it really hype people up. And leaks, just even a single statement can ruin that experience for a lot of players. What do you think of the simple statement that Inazuma is coming in Genshin Impact patch 2.0 and it contains 3 brand new islands? That statement is very simple, but that would no longer be the same as if a player suddenly saw the new trailer and they teased the fact that there's gonna be a new island, new exciting island, new puzzle, new things for us to solve, new things for us to explore, new mechanics, new enemy, every single thing. That one simple sentence ruined the entire thing. It really does. And while again I have never worked directly on gameplay, logistic and stuff, it really pained me when certain things got leaked from our company last year. These giant surprise that I saw them trying to work it up for months and months, hard work, just simply is ruined, and it makes me very sad every time I think about it. Player never understood how much hard work of planning there is behind the scene, and how people really enjoy the genuine reaction, and how developer really enjoy that genuine reaction from player as well. Player always think they know what's going on behind the scene, and I don't blame them because that totally was me as well before I started working. But now when I'm behind the scene, I can tell you it's definitely not the same. You'll never understand it unless you have experienced it yourself, aka you also work behind the scene. Now of course, leaks have upsides as well, and that is being able to plan ahead for how you spend your money, or in Genshin Impact, how you spend your primo. Planning ahead of how you are going to spend your money is a really valuable life skill to have, and being able to plan ahead on how you're going to spend your primo or resources is a really valuable asset to have for free-to-play player or player who don't want to spend too much money in Genshin Impact. And that's why I do pre-release analysis. The main goal when I do pre-release analysis is to prevent people from overhyping too much and therefore burning their money on day one. The primary goal of my channel, as always, is of course to save player money. And for that, I release pre-release analysis, hoping to stop people from overhyping. 8 months ago, I released my first pre-release analysis video. Now of course, 8 months ago, I was very bad at making video, I was very bad at figure crafting, and so there was a lot of things that I improved it along the way. But my goal of making pre-release analysis video has never changed it. In my original very first pre-release analysis video, I mentioned I do it because of the entire Zhongli incident. So right before Albedo got released, it was Zhongli. And Zhongli turned out to be not living up to many player experience expectation, because the way they presented Zhongli by MiHoYo was a god who is really good at fighting. In the MiHoYo official trailer, you can see that Zhongli is demolishing enemy, and Zhongli in the story of Genshin Impact was the god who have won, or not the god, the Archon, who have won all his battle and is one of the strongest. And as it turned out, even today that is true, and that is Zhongli is a terrible DPS, and Zhongli now is purely played as a defensive support. So back then, leaks was not a big thing, but it was still a thing. So I thought, hey, could we have looked at Zhongli leak and have determined that he would not be a very good DPS, and thus warn the player that they should not pull for him on day one? I mean, you should never pull for a character on day one, but you know, being able to back it up with some kind of field crafting would be really nice, and say, hey, Zhongli damage looked really low from his kit. He's not going to be an amazing DPS. Please do not pull him on day one. It'll be a nice thing to have, and that's why I do pre-release analysis. In fact, you can see that I only release my pre-release analysis exactly a week before the character release. So if a character is released on Tuesday, I would make that pre-release analysis the Wednesday ahead before that. So by that time, the character have been announced, MiHoYo have post trailer on their official channel. So the fact that I'm name dropping that character would not be ruining that character for anyone, because if you don't care about the character strength, you just not watch the video. Just don't watch the video, just click out of it. But the character has already been announced, so there shouldn't be any surprise that this XYZ character is coming. There are obviously people who do make video before the character is properly announced, and well, those, in my opinion, kind of ruin the surprise for player, and which is what we talked about in the early half of the video. And we're gonna take a slight detour to FGO, which is a gacha game that I played it for a long time. FGO is one of the biggest gacha game on the market right now. And there is JP server, which is where the game developed, and there's NA server, which is the server I played. Now right here you can see all the banners for the JP server. But what you will notice is that there's a next 50 summoning campaign for EN based on JP history. What does this mean? Well, what you actually have to know is that for FGO, the English server is 2 years behind the Japanese server. You heard that correctly. It is 2 years behind the Japanese server. So when the Japanese server get a new characters and they get a new fancy banner, that character will come to English in 2 years. This let English player plan ahead super well in advance, aka again 2 years. And what happened when a JP server released a super OP character? For example, this one right here is called Scotty, and she is one of the most OP character in the game. If I just click a tier list, you can see she's all the way at the very top right here. And when you see this character released on JP and the JP tell you that this character is gonna be super OP, you have to pull it, that's when you start saving your Primo Gem, or in FGO, Sing Core. You save your Primo Gem for 2 years, and then you pull all your resources into these characters, and well, hopefully you can get this super meta breaking characters. Of course, along the way, there might be other characters that you really like. For example, this one with Astropho, and you can properly plan out, it's like, how much pull do I need to get both the OP character and the character I want? You can properly plan out your resources ahead for 2 years, and this is a super valuable asset to have for the English player. And I cannot tell you how OP this is, being able to see ahead for 2 years, see how the meta developed in 2 years, how it saved you tons of money. I only spent a very small amount of like $1,000 on FGO, mostly because I know exactly what is coming in 2 years, and therefore I was able to get away with spending a very cheap amount on FGO. Kick $1,000. Anyway, the thing about this is, what about for the JP player? What about JP player who do not have this information available to them? How do they act differently? And oh boy, I can tell you right now, on JP, it's very painful. Japanese players do not have the ability to plan ahead at all. They do not know what's coming at all. They don't know any single thing, and it's very painful for their wallet. When they see a character they want, they have no idea what's coming in the next couple banner. They don't know if they should save their money or they should just spend their money right now. So let's say you want this character, which is Ishtar, which a lot of people like because she is the voice actor of Tosakirin, aka Yomiya. So a lot of people would pull for these characters, and then 2 patch later, they will drop a super OP must pull character that you cannot miss out. And what happened is that, well, because you cannot miss out because it's a 5 out of 5 must pull, many players would have to resolve to their wallet. You just have to. If you want to play the game, you actually just have to pull this character. It's not a choice to not pull. You have to pull these characters. And so for players who didn't manage their resources because, you know, they don't know what's coming, their only choice is to open up their wallet. And then this cycle repeat. They pull for this character, super OP character, they spend all their money on it. Next one, they make another super waifu, they make another super good characters. Now, not only you're out of resources, you're also out of your wallet. Unfortunately, for most players, they have to again open up their wallet because they really want that characters. And it's surely a very painful experience for the JP player. Not having the ability to see ahead even by 1 or 2 patches will hurt your wallet a lot, and unless you have been in that experience, you will never properly understand it. Overall, being able to plan ahead is a very valuable asset for many players for your resources, and this goes beyond Primo. This of course go for your resin as well. Being able to see what a character is going to use for material allow you to pre-farm, and without pre-farming, there will not be content on day one. I won't be able to make content on a new character on day one. No streamer, no content creator will be able to make content on day one because they would lack the resource to do so, and that would delay our fear crafting again. I don't know what exactly is going to happen if MiHoYo decide to fully shut down leaks. Nobody can tell, only time can tell if they actually do it. Unless you have been in that position where you actually know absolutely nothing about the future, you will never understand what that experience is. And for me, I also will not properly understand what that experience is, and I cannot predict what the future will be like if we don't have leaks. But although I could say we won't have pre-release analysis video anymore, but that's a pretty minor deal. I'm more concerned about the fact that a player just gonna dump all their money on day one again for a character that is not so good and then get really disappointed about it. Anyway, there is definitely upsides about leaks, but there's downsides about leaks. This video is not meant to argue one or the other, but simply to give the perspective of both, again, as a player myself, but also as a game developer myself. And of course, this is gonna be the end. I hope you learned a thing or two or something like that. And of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.